Hello, my name is Emike Oyemade, and you're welcome to another interesting discussion on breaking the cycle of sexual abuse. I am the lead counselor at Wisewell Counseling Services and Training Center here in Lagos. We offer counseling services and trainings for those who are interested in becoming professional counselors. Today, we're going to be answering a question. It centers around if a woman was sexually abused as a child or a teenager and it is now affecting her marriage. What should she do? Now, you can subscribe to this YouTube channel and click on the notification bell so you are the first to know when new content on breaking the cycle of abuse is posted. We also appreciate comments, and if you are looking for counseling, you are in an abusive situation and you think you cannot afford professional counseling, I mean in monetary terms, and you really need someone to talk to, please send a DM and one of our counselors will reach out to you. Today's question says, my wife was sexually abused as a teenager by her uncle. I think she's still traumatized because we have a horrible sex life and she hates the mention of her uncle's name. Now, you must understand that sexual abuse, rape in any form, is a very traumatic experience. In our last discussion, we talked about what could happen if the husband was abused as a boy, as a teenager, and or as a child, and how it can impact on his marriage or life generally. So today we're looking at a situation where if it was the wife that was abused as a girl, how does that also impact on the marriage? Now, there is no real distinction between how it's between how a man or a husband reacts or a woman reacts. The truth is that people heal differently, and so people can have different reaction to different circumstances. Even if the circumstances happens to each of them in the same way, they can have different reaction. Now, the first thing that you must know as a husband of a woman who was abused as a child or a teenager is that sexual abuse in any form can be very traumatic, especially when it happened with someone they trusted, like an uncle, a father, a cousin, a neighbor. It can be traumatic, and it happened at 10 years and she's still traumatized when she's 30 or when she's 40. Now, an understanding of that will help you would help you show support. Sometimes some people think that, oh, it happened 10 years ago, why don't you snap out of it? Sexual traumas is not something that you can just snap out of. It's not like you had a wound a physical wound, a cut. You had a cut when you were 10 years old. Today you see the scar, so you snap out of it. It doesn't happen automatically like that. And so as a partner of someone who was abused as a teenager, have an understanding that it is a traumatic experience and it's not something you can just snap out of. Number two, you must allow her to display her emotions in a way she wants to. For instance, you mentioned in your discussion that she does not like the mention of her uncle's name. Then don't force her. Don't force her to mention the uncle's name, to reach out to the uncle. Don't force her. Just allow her express her emotion in her own way. Sometimes, because we are not the people who were abused, we want to determine how the person should, how they should heal or how they should behave in their healing journey. I think it is very unfair to impose upon your partner how you think they should heal. If she doesn't want to see the uncle, so be it. Give her some time. If she doesn't want to talk about the uncle, give her some time. If she doesn't want to relate with the uncle's wife or the uncle's children, by all means, let her be. Number three, remind her that it is not a fault of hers. Many times, survivors think that they are to blame for the for being sexually abused. especially when the person is related to them. Sometimes some girls feel that, well, maybe I seduced my uncle or I seduced my father because I wasn't properly dressed or because I didn't behave in a certain manner. That is not true. You have to remind your wife that it was no fault of hers. If she carries on the guilt, it will prolong the trauma and that will affect your marriage. You also have to understand that it wasn't any fault of hers. Even if she was fond of her uncle, it does not mean that the uncle should take advantage of her. Number four, don't push her to forgive, forget, and put the past behind. No, sometimes we think that when the victim forgives the abuser, then she's free. That's not true. I even think that the place to start from is your wife forgiving herself, understanding that she has no fault, it's no fault of hers. Don't tell her, forgive your uncle, he did something wrong, it happened 20 years ago, forget about it, you have to move on. She can't just move on like that. It's the reason why the next point tells us that you must allow your wife to heal at her pace. The fact that she's crying today over something that happened 20 years ago does not mean she's slow, does not mean she's holding on to her past. Everyone heal at different paces, and you cannot force someone else's pace on your wife. If you are someone who easily gets over something when it happened to you, it does not mean that your partner will react in the same way. So do not force anyone, do not force your partner in their healing journey. Let them heal at their own pace. At best, encourage them, understand them, and let them be. Again, number seven, you can introduce her or encourage her to see a professional counselor. Now, seeing a counselor is very, very helpful. Sitting before a professional where they can talk and just let it go, let off the burden. Talking can do a lot to our healing journey. Now, some people prefer to see pastors. Well, if that pastor is a professional counselor or understands counseling and how he can use counseling to help you, by all means, you can use a pastor. But if all the pastor is going to do for you is lay hands on you and pray, then that will not be helpful, because you would discover that the more you talk about your healing journey, the better you are going to feel. If your wife needs a therapist, by all means, look for one for her, encourage her to see one. And you know how you can support her? Go with her to her therapy or counseling session. It will also help her to know that you're in the journey with her. Number seven, encourage her to talk about her healing journey. She could talk about it amongst her friends, maybe in church, in small groups, maybe to a friend. You never can know who else is traumatized that your wife experience can be a help to, can rescue. The more she talks about it and see that her own story is able to help someone else, the quickly she's going to come out of it. So encourage her to talk about it. She could volunteer to be a speaker in a small group of younger women to share her own experience of how she's walking through her journey. Now, lastly, encourage her by listening to her. Listening is very magical. It shows that you care. It shows that you also want her to heal. It shows that you are interested in the steps she's taking. It shows that you're interested in her getting better and improving on the marriage. Just listen to her. When she wants to cry, well, pat her and let her be. Sometimes we're quick to say, oh, don't cry, don't cry. Do you even know that shedding tears is also therapeutic? So yeah, let her be, let her cry. Just provide your shoulders, provide your ears, and provide a warm hug. Support her, listen to her without being judgmental, without thinking your parents should have done that, your daddy should have done this, you should have done this, why didn't you do this, and stuff like that. Also, do not be quick to prefer solutions on what you think she should do that she hasn't done. If you're quick to provide a solution, you are going to drive her back into her shell. It will make you seem like you are the perfect husband without flaws, without blemish, and she's the one who needs help. Don't be quick to provide a solution. Instead, ask her, what do you want to do? Now, our own suggestion may not make sense to you, may not be something you want them to do. Remember, the important person in this picture is your wife and not you. So you could have suggestion on what they want to do or what they should do, except your suggestion and advice is agreeable with what they already have in mind. It could mean that you are pushing them to where you want them to be and not where they should be. Now, lastly, pray for them. Pray for your wife. Pray for your wife. The healing journey can be traumatic, and sometimes it can be slow, and sometimes you can have some relapses. It means that your wife you thought was healed yesterday, today she's still behaving like the incident just happened all over. Pray for her. I believe that total whole healing is possible with the help of God. So when you're going for session, pray for her. When someone is talking to her, pray for her. Do you even know it is prayer that would make your counseling session effective? Do you know that there are areas in her heart and in her life that the Holy Spirit can touch, that you cannot touch, that the therapist cannot get to, that the counselor cannot get to? So prayer is very important. Now, this is what I said, don't get me wrong. I did not say that encourage her to pray. I did not say go and hold her hands and pray. I mean, in the confines of your bedroom, on your own, alone, while she's not there, bring her sincerely before God and intercede on her behalf so that the healing journey is facilitated. You don't have to give her the impression that I'm praying for you. When you sincerely love someone, you will go behind them and do things that will improve them without necessarily telling them. I am praying for your wife too, and I believe that God will help her heal perfectly. Now, if you are in this kind of situation where you feel that your marriage is being threatened by a traumatic experience your husband or your wife had as a teenager or a child, and you think that you will need a therapist, you will need a counselor, you need someone to pray with you, you can send a DM and one of our counselors will reach out to you and pray or counsel or talk with you as the case may be. The truth is, sexual traumatic experiences in childhood can indeed affect the bliss of a marital life. And so before it begins to affect your home, you want to deal with it. Again, healing does not happen automatically. Now, these things I have said does not mean that overnight your partner is going to change, is going to be better. Sometimes some people can take as long as 5-10 years to heal before you begin to see the positive impact in their lives and in their marriage. If you are such kind of partner married to someone who is in the journey of healing from sexual traumatic experience, then you want to be patient with that person to get to the end. Put yourself in their shoes. Would you not want someone to be patient with you while you get through your experience? The same way you should react or behave towards your partner. I am going to come your way again next week. We will be talking about something more interesting on breaking the cycle of abuse. If you have not already subscribed to this channel, please do so and click the notification bell so that when I post new content, you will be the first person to know about it. Please share this video with someone who, your friends, your colleague, and someone you think this video can be helpful to. Till next week, bye for now.